Yes, it is. It's your favorite Bills podcast. It's Bills by the Numbers, where we let the stats tell you where the Bills are at. We're presented by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Coming up, the race for the top seed in the AFC. Is it realistic for Buffalo? And why might the door be open a crack for the Bills to steal it? Who are the likely playoff participants that look like threats? And we'll have our one burning question. Down the stretch we come! Happy to have you with us here on Bills by the Numbers. Merry Christmas, everyone. Bills Wall of Famer Steve Tasker, Bills play-by-play man Chris Brown here with you, and we begin with the AFC Conference playoff race. Yes, we know the Bills are going to be in the postseason dance, but the one seed is still a carrot that's dangling out there. And yes, we know that the odds aren't great, but in these three things, thing number one, Steve, as long as it's out there and possible to attain, do you, Steve Tasker, have your team pursue it with all the zeal they can muster?
Yeah, you do, because the bye week is huge, and you have to win one less game to get to the Super Bowl. And it's going to be a home game, whatever it is. And you're going to be fresh in the first division round of the game. You're going to have a week off. All those things go into it. And well, let's look at the Bills' record after their bye week with Sean McDermott. They never get beat.
Yeah.
So, yes, it's huge, and you get after it. And because with the odds the way they are, if you don't get it, you're going to maybe find out with a week or two left in the regular season, at least maybe perhaps 1 week left in the regular season. And if that's the case, then you can play the junior varsity or whatever it is you want to do, backups. You sit Josh. Nobody takes a risk, and you give them a week off anyway at the end of the season. So, yes, you go after it as hard as you can. You try and win it, and if you get it, it's worth it.
It is worth it, and the Bills know by experience, based on what happened last year in particular. You know, they had to play in the wild card round against the Steelers. They lose Terrell Bernard and Christian Benford. Your starting middle linebacker and your number one corner, and you have to play the rest of the playoffs without him, and their playoff run ended the following week. So you don't play that first week of the playoffs, you eliminate the injury risk, and that's probably the biggest value in having that. Plus, your whole team gets a week off to heal up again. I know the Bills had a late bye week this year, but an extra bye for anybody is a bonus. Not to mention the fact that the two playoff games you would still play would both be at home, to Steve's point, and the Bills just in unbeaten at home this season. As a matter of fact, they've won their last 9 regular season home games, stretching back to last season. So it's a value, I think, to the Bills, and I do anticipate that Coach McDermott will push for it.
Number 2, the 2 seed isn't bad either, because the Chiefs are teetering.
And you get two home playoff games.
You get two home playoff games that way. And if the Chiefs do trip up, you're the 2 seed. You get the home game if indeed you reach the championship game and they do not.
Yeah. Right now, according to ESPN's Football Power Index, it has the Chiefs projected to have 14.7 victories, the Bills 13.3 victories. I love the decimals. I love that with these projections. That's almost
Those
a game and a half
victories.
difference. It's almost a game and a half difference with 3 games to play. But I don't believe there's any debate that the Chiefs have the tougher remaining schedule. They've got Houston this week on a Saturday, the Steelers on the road 4 days later, and then the Denver Broncos in a game that Denver may need for playoff seeding in Week 18.
That's right.
Thing number 2, how realistic do we believe it is that the Chiefs will slip up and drop one of their last 3 games?
I think they probably will. The problem is the Bills need them to drop 2. So, yeah, I don't think they'll go. I don't think they'll run the table. They have not played well. They're nicked up. Mahomes isn't 100%. They're going to play 2 games in 5 days coming up this weekend from Saturday to Wednesday, and they're playing a tough schedule. The Steelers are no joke.
Especially in their building.
The Texans are no joke, and Denver is no joke, particularly in their building.
They're all playoff teams right now.
And, yeah, so it's a tough finishing stretch for the Chiefs, and the Bills have just the flip side of that. They've got the Patriots, Jets, Patriots.
We look at the schedule, and the one that I think is the one they could drop is the Steelers game.
Right.
Because you're coming off a short turnaround. You're on the road. And as I said, I think the Steelers are a much tougher team in their building than they are on the road. So I could see them dropping that game. And then the doors open a crack, and hopefully the Bills have taken care of their business. Now you're only a game back. You just got to be even. Can the Broncos help you out in Week 18? It bears watching.
Yes, it does.
It'll bear watching because Denver is one of the best defenses in the entire league this season.
They're playing very well.
And I think that gives them a chance. And they still believe they should have won the last time between
the
those
blocked
two
field
teams.
goal, yeah, the blocked field goal to lose it.
So
that's rough.
they will unquestionably be motivated. And just knowing Sean Payton and how he operates, he'll be as ornery as any of them.
Yes, he will. And he coaches ultra aggressive.
Yeah, foot to the floor.
Yes.
On the pedal.
Ultra aggressively in big games. In playoff games, he goes for broke. He's
Mm-hmm.
the surprise onside kick in the Super Bowl guy. He never lets up, and that's a plus for that team.
The Steelers are the closest pursuers of the Bills in the AFC conference race at 10-4. They're coming off a loss to the Eagles on the road, and they are at Baltimore this week. Then Kansas City at home 4 days later, and Cincinnati to close it out at home. The Ravens are just a game back of Pittsburgh, and the division is still in play in the AFC North. The Chiefs will need to win, and even the Bengals will be all too happy to play spoiler for the Steelers. Thing number 3, do we think Pittsburgh wins their division, or does Baltimore run them down?
Really good question. I think Baltimore might run them down. I think Pittsburgh it's starting to catch up with him. T.J. Watt's health is a question. How far
Pickens has been out of the
Pickens
lineup.
has been out of the lineup, and Russ Wilson cannot do it alone. He's not that player anymore. I got nothing but love and respect for Mike Tomlin and what he's able to get out of his team, but I don't think his team has enough to give him to hold off the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I kind of see the Ravens doing what the Bills did to the Dolphins
That's right.
last year. I see them walking the Steelers down here at the end. I think they have more team momentum right now. And, the Steelers, that's a rough go of it, man, the rest of the way for them, too. I think they can get plucky and get a win against the Chiefs on Christmas Day. But I don't know. I got bad vibes for them going against Cincinnati in Week 18. I mean, they are at home. Cincinnati has trouble stopping people,
Yeah,
but they can hang 40 and they can hang 40 on people.
problem is-
and I think Pittsburgh beat Cincinnati in the first meeting in Cincinnati. They outscored them. It was like 44-38 or something.
I think the problem with that is that the Cincinnati Bengals
Aren't playing for anything at that point.
will be cooked. They have like a less than 5% chance of making the playoffs right now, even though they've won their last 2 against the Cowboys and Tennessee. They got Cleveland this week. They might win that one. But they've got Denver and Pittsburgh. If Denver trips them up in Cincinnati,
Yeah.
and they have absolutely nothing, they might be totally cooked on Week 18, just want to go home.
It's possible. It's definitely possible.
Yeah, and there's no way the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to want to go home on Week 18. They're gonna play hard.
The Ravens and Texans are the two teams that, as we know, have the head-to-head tiebreaker on Buffalo. Houston has already won their division. They sit at 9-5. So do the Ravens. And as we said, they're going to be playing Pittsburgh essentially for the division title this week because they're only a game back of Pittsburgh. Are you concerned one of those teams could catch the Bills in the conference race? Because all they got to do is pull even, and then they got the head-to-head tiebreaker on Buffalo.
No, I don't think so. I think Buffalo's going to take care of business, and they will do whatever they can to hold them off. And the Bills have the Patriots twice. So, yeah, I don't think that they're doing anywhere. And I don't think the Jets are going to – I don't think the Jets are going to put up that much of a fight or enough of a fight. I think that there's a little pride there, and they got some guys. But, no, I think the Bills run the table.
The other thing that's helping here,
If they need to.
yeah, the other thing that's helping here too, I think, is that Houston and Baltimore play one another in Week 17. So one of them is going to have an additional loss than what they have now. I guess the point is both teams can't run the table because they play each other in Week 17. That obviously helps Buffalo. The Broncos are quietly a 9-5 team that no one's paying attention to because they can't catch the Chiefs. They're a game ahead of the Chargers at 8-6, but those two teams play each other this weekend in Denver. Then the Chargers are at New England and at Las Vegas. The Broncos are at Cincinnati and home against Kansas City. If the Chargers beat the Broncos this week, they could overtake them for a higher wild card seed. Which one of these teams in the wild card pool, Steve, is the most dangerous as you see it? Pittsburgh/Baltimore, knowing they could potentially flip-flop for the division title, the Chargers, or the Broncos?
Oh, I think it's Pittsburgh or Baltimore. No, I don't know. It might be Baltimore, Denver. Baltimore's dangerous. They're a
Yes.
really good team, and they're playing well, and they're unique because of their their philosophy of offense. Denver because of their defense. But Pittsburgh's got that defense too. And if you get to the end of the season and T.J. Watt has somehow, hobbled his way to get back to health, that changes everything for Pittsburgh. To me, the Chargers are a little bit of an unknown because they're a little bit inconsistent.
Right. And the playoffs is not a familiar place for them.
That's true. So it is for Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
So he'll handle it well. But I think Denver, Baltimore, Pittsburgh are three teams that are very dangerous when they get into the playoffs, because of the totality of their team. Baltimore, their run game and their defense. Well, their run game and Lamar. Pittsburgh, their defense, and Denver, their defense.
Yeah, I think because I believe Baltimore is going to win the AFC North, I'm going to remove them from this equation. And I will say the most dangerous teams of the wild card pool, assuming it's Pittsburgh, Chargers, Broncos, is Pittsburgh and Denver. And the reason why is because in the playoffs, defense travels.
Yes.
And they're going to be on the road, obviously being wild card teams, if that's how it plays out. And defense travels in the playoffs. Weather suddenly becomes a factor. It's tough to be as consistent as you've been all season on offense for a lot of teams, and defense travels. So if you have a top-flight defense, and the Steelers and the Broncos do, you can pull off an upset. And so that's why I think those are the two dangerous teams of the wild card pool. Finally, how likely do you believe it is that Buffalo finishes with wins in their last three games? Patriots, Jets at home, Patriots on the road.
I think it's very likely. Yeah, I don't think this team's going to stop and take a breath, and I think they're going to get pushed by Baltimore, Pittsburgh for the 2 seed. I think the 2 seed is important.
Yeah.
Given how the Chiefs are, and the Chiefs, I think, will drop one of their last 3 games. It'll be a 1-game thing, and
Keep Buffalo invested.
Yes, I think Buffalo will stay invested till the end, and I think they're a better team than any of those.
Yeah, the only way I don't see them winning their last 3 games is if seeding is out the window come week 18, and it becomes a Mitchell Trubisky and throw the twos out there game against the Patriots in week 18.
That's right.
And even then, I think they'd have a good look at a win. In week 18 at New England. So that's the only way I could see it changing, and them not finishing it off with 3 straight victories. Time now for the numbers game, where Steve will be quizzed on NFL playoff seed history. Let's do it. Here we go. Question number 1, Steve. In the last 10 Super Bowls, how many have been won by a 1 seed from the playoff pool? Last 10 Super Bowls, how many were a 1 seed that won the title?
Oh, I'll say 6.
You nailed it. 6 of the last 10 Super Bowl winners
10 chance and I got
were
that.
the top seed, the Chiefs being the last in 2022.
I figured the Chiefs. I thought probably the Chiefs, the Rams, probably the 10 would be all the way back to, who's 15? It was probably the Broncos. Does that go back 10 years?
There's a Patriots in there. I can't remember the full list.
But yes, that's what I thought. I thought that makes a difference. It really does.
Yeah. So 6 of the last 10 Super Bowl winners were the top seed. Question 2. How many 7 seeds in the playoffs, since it was adopted in 2020, have won a playoff game? How many 7 seeds in the playoffs have won a playoff game since it came in 2020?
So there's been
4 years.
6 of them. 4 years?
4 years of 7 seeds.
So
yes.
that'd be 4 years of 7 seeds.
8 of them.
2 a year. That'd be 8 of them. I would say 3.
It's lower.
2.
Lower.
Really?
Again.
Just one?
Only one 7 seed
Wow.
has won a playoff game since they
All
came
right.
in 2020.
That surprises me a little bit.
When Green Bay upset Dallas in Dallas last
year.
season.
Yeah.
That's the only 7 seed to
Wow.
win
All right.
a playoff game since they've come in 2020. 1 out of 8. Question number 3. Since the 2010 season, a number 1 playoff seed has won 7 of the last 14 Super Bowls. So this goes back even further than question 1. So since 2010, a number 1 playoff seed has won 7 of the last 14 Super Bowls. What playoff seed has won the next most number of Super Bowls over that stretch? So 1 seeds have won 7. What seed in the playoffs has won most of the other 7? If you had to guess.
Say the 2 seed.
No. Surprisingly,
I'll
no.
say, then I'm going to skip at 3. I'm going to say the 4 seed.
It's the 4 seed.
Yeah.
They have won it 3 times
Yeah.
since 2011.
I think it's because, I don't know. It logically obviously doesn't make sense.
I think it's because those years there were upsets, right? And then the path is kind of cleared for a lower seed to get in there. Or a
Maybe.
4 seed catches fire.
Maybe.
You know, they're on a hot streak and they just roll.
Yeah.
We've seen that.
Yeah. I get it.
Question 4.
It's interesting.
When was the last time a 6 seed won the Super Bowl? Someone went on a tear and just went all the way to the promised land.
I'll say, was Philly a 6 seed?
When?
I don't know. One of the
When
years
they won
won.
in 2017?
when they won, yeah.
No.
How about a 6 seed? A long time ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a little bit ago, yes.
How about the Cardinals or the Rams?
Well, the Cardinals didn't win.
Oh, that's right.
They lost to the Steelers.
The Rams.
Not the Rams. It was Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers.
Oh, really?
In 2010. They were the 6th
Wow.
seed that year.
Okay.
And they
I
won
would
the
never
whole
got
thing. Bonus question. Since there's a good chance the Bills are going to be the 2 seed, Steve, how many times has the 2 seed won the Super Bowl since 2010? So we're talking about 15 years worth of Super Bowls. How many times has the 2 seed won the Super Bowl? Now you've got use the test to take the test.
Right.
Because I told you since 2010, 7 times it's been the 1 seed.
7, so it's got to be less than that. And the
And
2 seed
And
didn't
I told
win
you the
as
4
often.
seed won it 3 times.
So I'm going to have to say once.
And you would be correct, Steve. Only once has the 2 seed won the Super Bowl since the 2010 season. It was in 2018. Your favorite, the Kansas City Chiefs.
There you go.
Did it in 2018.
They were
in
the 2
Mahomes'
seed.
first season as the starter.
They were the 2 seed behind who?
I
was it?
believe New England.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
They beat New England twice in the championship game.
actually, it's not going to be New England.
not
It was
gonna be
somebody
New England.
else. Might have been Baltimore, and they got knocked out. They lost to the Titans that year, I think. I think Baltimore was the 1 seed. That was
Yeah.
Lamar's first MVP year. They went 14-2.
That's right.
They
They
were
got
the 1
knocked out.
seed and
They-
got knocked out by the Titans.
In the first round.
Yes. Yee! Hey! Hey, Bills fans, get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Just download the app today to play any way you want. Plus, with live betting, you'll get updated odds on games that have already started. Best of all, you get paid your winnings fast. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the Buffalo Bills. Time now for our one burning question. Steve, what is the lowest playoff seed you would accept for the Bills and still believe they could advance to the Super Bowl?
Oh, well, I got a lot of faith in this crew. As long as they're in, they can win it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
They could be the 7.
Yeah, it don't matter.
Doesn't matter.
It don't matter. They'll be favored.
Even
in
if they
every-
got to
they
go
will
on
be
the
f-
road the whole way.
They will be favored in every single game they play in the playoffs.
Okay.
I mean,
Look, it's
we're a
unlikely
few
they're the
weeks-
5, the 6, or the 7.
They're not.
They're
They are
going to be the
they
division
can't.
winner.
They can only be
the
the
4 at worst.
They can only be the 4 at worst. So I don't care. They'll be. If they're the 4 seed, who are they going to play? With the Chargers, Steelers.
You don't want to be in that 4-5 game. I don't like that 4-5 game.
I don't mind.
You're playing the best wild card team.
I don't mind.
I don't like it.
This team, you're going to be playing out in this building. Yeah, I'll take anyone, but I'll be disappointed if they don't get the 2.
Yeah, right?
I'll be a little disappointed if they don't get the 2.
I would say I'd feel comfortable even if they're the 3. If they're the 4, I hate that 4-5 game. I really don't like it. If they're the 3, I can live with it. But, yeah, I'd prefer the 2 because that means you got 2 home playoff games.
Yeah,
Wild card and divisional round. And then you may even get the AFC title game at home if the top seed gets knocked off.
That's
So,
right. But you're not. All is not lost for the AFC Championship
No.
game being in your building.
No.
Although that number 1 seed is an enormous boost.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Our closing figure deals with ESPN's Football Power Index projections following Week 15. As we told you earlier, the Bills are projected to have 13.3 victories by the end of the season. Second only to the Chiefs in the AFC, which would give them the number 2 seed. When it comes to the odds of making the AFC title game, the Chiefs lead the odds with a 54.6% chance. Bills are second with a 50.4% chance. When it comes to making the Super Bowl, that's where it gets interesting. Buffalo has the best chance on the AFC side with a likelihood of just over 30%. The Chiefs are second at 26.7%. Winning the Super Bowl, the Bills also have the second highest odds at 15.8%, the only team with a higher likelihood, according to ESPN's Football Power Index, the team they just beat, the Detroit Lions, at 19.9%. That'll do it for this edition. Be sure to subscribe on whatever podcast platform you use so you know when our next episode is out, because when you need to know about the Bills, you need to check Bills by the Numbers. For Steve Tasker, I'm Chris Brown. Thanks for listening. We'll catch up with you after Christmas, everybody.